I went and grabbed my phone and I called 911 and I put them on speaker and then I started doing CPR.
Welcome back to the broadcast. This is Dennis Sperling. And as promised, I'd like to welcome a young lady who has been waiting for a while to speak her piece. And I'd like to say thank you for coming. Would you like to introduce yourself, ma'am?
Yeah, so thank you for having me. My name is Ortencia Alcantara, and I grew up in the state of Kansas, and I'm currently a full-time travel nurse, and I'm just a little nervous.
A little nervous, yeah.
Full-time nurse from Kansas.
I'm going to tell you, like I told these folks here, it's only respect allowed on this page, so we don't want any foolishness. This is for the Kevin Samuels fans. Hit the KS button. So here's the thing. Let's just get straight into it. Ortencia, how did you meet Kevin? How did you meet Kevin Samuels?
So Kevin and I met through my brother who admires Kevin. I had seen a couple of Kevin's videos, but not enough to really fully understand the platform he had created. Okay. And after we first met, we kept in touch over FaceTime and started to get to know each other a little more that way. Our conversations mostly consisted of work and family. We also had conversations about what we were looking for, and Kevin knew that I was dating with intent to marry. So he had mentioned, working on a relationship, but I never knew how serious he was until we actually met in person. And later he explained that he had run a background check, to make sure I wasn't crazy before moving forward. So I joked about that and told him that it was a little.
Kevin run the background checks.
Background check on you.
Yes, that's what he told me, and I was like, I told him he was crazy.
Oh man, so he's checking for warrants and whatnot to see who you are.
You don't know who to trust. I ain't mad at him.
Check on me and everybody else that he associated with. That sounds like him. That is funny. So he ran a background check on you. Okay. All right. And so
and I joked about it too, because I told him, I just have a couple of felonies under my belt, and he started laughing because he's like, I know you're a nurse, you can't have those.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he, the funny thing is Kevin had his own sense of humor. You know what I mean? You had to be around him enough to get it. But yeah, it sounds like him. Yeah, that's funny. So, okay. So you said your conversations consisted of you say work and family, and you let him know you wanted to get married. Is that what he wanted? I mean, what was, I don't want you to go too deep into your personal friend, relationship, what y'all talked about, but just what was his mind when he was speaking to you?
No, of course. He came off as, he asked me what I wanted. And so ever since, I stopped working so much, I always told, people I'm dating with, intent to be married. That's what I want. And I always put it up front so people know and, not to waste anybody's time. Okay. And he had mentioned, that he had wanted to work on a relationship, but never, like I said, I never understood how serious he was until I met him, and he told me that he always wanted to remarry and have a son, and that he wanted to be married, but he was always looking for someone like me, someone humble from the Midwest and that could have nice things but didn't need them.
So he wanted to have a son, because I know he has a daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've actually spoken with his daughter on several occasions. She's actually kind of handling business for him now. She just graduated from college. Wow, yeah. So I know he had a daughter. Wow, little Kevin Jr. That'd have been something else. Little KS Jr. Y'all talked all about that. Did you tell him that's not your job to give him the son or not? He had to figure that out it was his job to do that.
Yeah, no, that's what he told me. He's like, can you have, can you have males, and just joking around. And I was like, well, that's up to you. That's up to, that's up to the male to produce that. But no, he always talked about, his daughter and his mom and how much, he loved them, but he also wanted to have a son.
Yeah, it's my understanding they had a really close relationship. I mean, oh my God, his mom, she'll have such a sweet woman, and the daughter is just so humble and sweet, and just sweet people. It's easy to do stuff for women like that. And that's what I found. Like, she just had she had my heart. She's the type of mama everybody wish they had. Miss Beverly. So shout out to Miss Beverly, and she's just such a sweet woman.
Shout out to Miss Beverly.
And then of course his daughter is just a sweet girl, and I could see why he would like you, because you kind of got that same vibe going. But anyway, so how did y'all? I guess y'all talked on the phone. Y'all did FaceTime. Well, look, so he checked you out first, right? Did he ask you those famous questions he always asks people?
A little bit, yeah.
Let me do it. Let me do my KS. Hold on a minute. Hold on. So you're dating with the intent to marry. Okay. What's your dress size?
A 4.
A 4. Okay. And let me see.
All right, that's good.
How do you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, and you can't use 7?
Honestly, I would tell myself 5, maybe 6 with the makeup.
5 or 6?
But I don't know. That's just me.
Okay. And what did Kevin tell you when you said you were 5 or 6?
He looked at me and he said I was.
I've seen some pictures of you before. Go ahead.
So I'm going to pause that for a split second in regards to, me, I'm not going to ramble. One thing that I've learned even here in South America, when you're surrounded by so many beautiful Latin women quite often have a tendency of downplaying their beauty. Now, mind you, I'm not talking about the party girls that other guys quite often run after. I'm not talking about the women that are part of pay for play with the big egos. I'm not talking about those women. I'm not talking about the Latin women that are gold diggers. I'm talking about the average everyday Latin woman that you see walking through South America. Quite often, if you ask them, and you be looking at them like, this got to be an 8. They will tell you I am a 5 or 4. They will quite often use 5 or 6. Latin women really don't see their beauty because they see it in masses. Their sister looks like them. Their cousin looks like them. Their mama look like them. The girls in school look like them. Like I said, every once in a while, you'll see one that walks around as a diva. But I can attest to what she's saying, because when she says, well, I'm a 5, because I've heard gorgeous, and I mean gorgeous Latin women down here say the same thing about themselves. Let's continue on.
He looked at me and said that I was crazy, and that he's like, well, pretty girls usually like that. They don't understand. And I was like, I don't know. I've always felt that way.
Let me see. You know what? Actually, let me see. You sent me some pictures hold on a minute. Let me see if I can find these photographs that you sent. This is what did you rate yourself as again, ma'am?
I say 5 or 6 with makeup.
She said she's a 5 or 6 with makeup. Let's take a look, fellas. Of Miss Ortencia Alcantara, who said,
I'm going to put that on pause for you guys. This is the woman that said, let me move me out of the way. This is the young lady that says that she is a 5. This is who Kevin Samuels was dating before he passed on. This is the young lady from Kansas. I'd gave her all of 8 or 9. I would have gave her all. Let me put mine in right now. I'm gonna go ahead and go 9, because I would have gave it not only because of personality, but because she has that beauty. She's fit, feminine, seems like she's nice. So yeah, I'm gonna give her that 9 on mine. But yeah, she's definitely far from a 5. Far from a 5. And like I said, when you're judging women, and the reason why I say this, and I pause this, when you're judging women in other countries, you cannot, guys. This is what got guys in the graves right now in other countries, because they judge women only by their exterior beauty.
As you said, you're a 4 or 5. Is that what you said?
I say 5 and the 6 with makeup.
Kevin Samuels laughed when she said that to him. And I'm gonna respectfully disagree with you that you are a 5 or a 6. I think you
Respectfully,
sent me one more picture. Hold on. That's you. So you're
gonna pause that again. Let that soak in. See what I'm saying? Hair down, hair done, no weave in sight, unbelievable. Just a little bit of makeup, not too much cake up. Like, you know, they put it on these days like frosting. I would have thought from those photos, hey guys, with your passports that travel, would you not have thought that she was from Medellin, Cartagena, Cali, Cancun, or a small town in Mexico? I wouldn't have never thought that they breed them like that in the Midwest of Kansas. His free TV says, he said, what you see in Colombia and daily. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is what you see in the gym. This is what you see who working in the grocery store. This is who you see when you are at a restaurant. This is who you see. That's why I often say there are so many gorgeous women in South America that for dudes to sit back and only, nothing wrong with pay for play, but for dudes only pay for women or go after party women. I say, I don't get it, because there are so many women that are just like her here. Sweet demeanors, got their own job. I'll give you a perfect example. I'll give you a story. I know a guy, and I'm not going to put his business out there, but he's in town right now, right? He's only been here a few days, but he only deals with regular ladies. He met a beautiful, gorgeous sister, got her own apartment, got her own car, got her own business, doing her thing. They're already giving him a spare key. Like, hey, you know, I'm gonna be at work busy. If you need to go hang out, and usually he hanging out with me, he can go in and out at will. Most dudes will come down to Colombia and get a woman that's paid for play. This brother's only been here a couple of days and he's got the whole kit and caboodle, and she's gorgeous. So these are the type of women that do walk around Colombia all day long, and as well as Brazil, as well as other parts, and that you guys can really get to know. And you don't have to just go to Kansas. Let's continue on with her testimony with Brother Dennis.
We'll figure you met his requirements. You passed
That's
the
that
test,
Mexico.
right?
I think so.
Okay. So you passed the background check. You did the FaceTime. You probably, you know, checked you out here and there to, you know, caught you a different time, see what you look like. And then y'all some kind of way figured out your first meeting, right? So tell us about that.
So at the time I was working in Texas, but I was between contracts, so I had some free time before my next start date.
Okay.
So then I flew to Atlanta, and we met, you know, at Buckhead Village, and that's where he showed me around. And
Buckhead Village, I think that's where he was living at the time, where he was renting that what was it, VRBO or something like that. Okay. All right. And okay, so y'all so you say you flew, what do you say, you were between contracts? What does that mean?
so I'm a travel nurse, so I can pick up contracts with different hospitals. And at the time, you know, I wasn't working. It was between contracts, and my contract, which is in Tennessee now, didn't start until, you know, 3 weeks after. So I had enough time to go and actually meet him.
So, I mean, I'm assuming it was pretty serious, because I know Kevin well enough to know. Here's a couple of things. I don't know if you know this, but the night or the day before, whatever y'all got together, he sent me a text message. And I'm looking at this last text message he sent me, and I see how excited he was. Let me see if I can pull this up. And I'm going to read it to you, just so you know, because it's one thing what guys tell the ladies, you know what I'm saying? But it's a whole nother thing when they start telling their friends, you know what I mean?
Before we get to hear this text message, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel as well as Dennis Sperling's channel.
It's hard to even look at this stuff over again, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can feel him.
But he said he sent me a picture of you from your Instagram page, right? And then my response was, wow, gorgeous. And then he said, few pics, doesn't follow me initial background check, initial background clear. You know what I'm saying? That was a trip. You know what I mean? So, and give me a minute because I'm still kind of, you know, I hadn't really had a chance to grieve either. You know, so it's just kind of, I try to put stuff behind me. You know what I'm saying? And I try not to really think about things. And now I'm sitting here live with all these people looking at me, and I had to catch myself real quick. You know what I'm saying?
I've been there. I've been there. You guys saw me last year in tears on camera.
Anyway, so the thing he said I found interesting here was, let me pull it up again. He said, you don't follow him on Instagram. Was that like a big deal that you don't follow him on Instagram or something like that? Or you don't follow his shows? Because you mentioned earlier you didn't really follow his program too much.
Not really. It was more my brother who was, you know, watched all his things. And for me, I had watched a couple of things, but I never really was into it like my brother was like that. And on Instagram, I really didn't use, you know, social media. I had a couple pictures, but I never, honestly, I feel like I never really had time because I worked so much.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I think, you know, when you become very successful, it's, you know, it gets very lonely, you know. And the thing is, and I can't speak for women, but I know after about 25 years old, when you become successful and your trajectory in life is easily plotted, you don't know why women are coming at you. You know, I remember when I made my first $1 million in 1 year. You know, I was surrounded by friends. I used to think, oh man, all these people love me. You know, these people like me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all these people are around me. They love being around me. I'm this wonderful person. And then you realize just how lonely you are and how little you can trust people, because everything changes when you become successful and it's publicly known.
True.
It's one thing to have money and nobody really knows it. It's another thing to have money and everybody knows it. And in my particular circle, family, friends, they all began to know I had money. So every other phone call was, what can you do for me? Can you loan me some money? Can you give me some money? And, you know, I don't know about, you know, well, I do know a little bit about Latino culture. You all are very close typically.
I'm going to pause this for a second to let you guys know. He's absolutely correct. The more successful you come in life and you don't have that one person or two or three people that you can trust at the end of the day, it does get to a point where you don't know who to trust. The one thing that I can say that most of you guys, I lean on. You know, I really lean on you guys. When you guys come to the city, that's why I'm so excited to see you guys. When you guys are leaving, that's why I'm so excited for you guys, because I know you're coming back. I'm so happy to have Andre in my life as a foundation, because it does get lonely the more successful you become. I kid you not. And some of you guys can attest to that. And that's why you guys are desiring to take some of the monies of your success and relocate to other countries, or at least visit other countries quite often. And I know I'm taking this interview and turning it into a passport bro moment, but it is a lot of what I'm so glad that even though our brother passed on, he wasn't alone. And he had that time of it being excited about a new relationship with somebody that was gorgeous. And I'm going to tell you something. It's not a coincidence that I got a gorgeous Latina. Dennis got a gorgeous Latina. Kevin had a gorgeous Latina. I'm just putting it out there, brothers. Yeah. I'm selling a product that these Latin women that are traditional, such as this young lady coming from the Midwest, and she was focused on her career and she didn't know anything or much about Kevin. I'm telling you, I'm thinking to myself, winner, chicken dinner the whole time. So shout out to them.
Did he talk about that with you at all?
He did. He mentioned, that he liked that I was from the Midwest because he said that we kind of grew with a different mentality, and like these material things, they were nice, but it's something that we don't really need. Like, I didn't grow up with that, so it doesn't really matter to me, and I don't like to talk about my salary, but I do pretty well, and I don't really buy these materialistic things because it doesn't matter to me. Like, to me, it's more about the experiences, and he liked that.
Yeah. So you got your own money is basically what you're saying.
Yeah, and and I work hard for it.
Respect.
One of the things guys often say to me in criticism, Andre, you're trying to be like Kevin Samuels. You trying to take his background. You got the colognes going on. You got the swinging sticks going on. You got all that going on, Andre. You see how small the swinging sticks are when you have it right next to you, but when it was in front of Kevin, it looked like it was really big, really small. Amazon, $99. I don't have the candles, but I have all the incense going around. You're trying to be like Kevin. You're trying to imitate. I don't care what people think. I was influenced and impacted by our brother Kevin Samuels. I was wearing suits long before then, but I still recognize the impact that he had on men as far as being a positive black man. And if another positive black man had an impact on me, well, damn it, so let it be. Because he was a good example. He was a positive example. He was an example of a clean cut brother. He kept I don't know who his barber was, but that brother kept Kevin's hair tight. I don't know who his tailor was, who got his tailored suits, but because of Kevin, I got this is my first tailored suit. Yes, it is. I got my first tailored suit. So when people sit back and say little snide remarks, you're trying to be like Kevin. I'm not just trying to be like Kevin at all. I'm trying to be like the best of Andre. And Kevin showed many of us there's nothing wrong with being the best of ourselves. Whether you be a brother that like to rock Jordans in a sweatsuit, or whether you're a brother that like to wear a suit as a uniform, a custom-made suit. Either way, Kevin always gave us all an example of how to be the best of who we are, because he gave a great example. He showed us a great example of how he was the best of who he was. And a little trivia on Kevin. Kevin was a spin class instructor. Kevin's one of his sports was bicycling. Kevin was an avid bicyclist and also taught spin classes. A lot of people don't remember, and a lot of people don't know that. But I just wanted to get that bit of trivia out there. And my man Theo in the building, boy.
You better back the fuck up out my face, goddammit. I'm from Detroit, Michigan.
Don't play with me. Them Detroit boys at it again. Shout out to Theo, man. Hey, Theo, please let me know if you hit that 100K. That's what I'm talking about. Boy, hey, let me get that 100K. I'm about to pull the plaque off. I'm about to do it now. There we go. Theo is officially at 100K. He will be getting his 100K plaque. This is ours for Mostly Money. We're on our way to our second one for Love Crossing Borders, and they're going to continue to grow from there. Our goal is to have at least 3 channels of our 5 channels hit 100K separately. So shout out to Theo. Hey, Theo, man, it's going to feel so good in your hands. Family members going to want to touch it. Friends are going to want to touch it. You're going to be like, I might let you touch it, because it's so rare. Only think about it. Only 0.08% ever make it to 100,000 subscribers. Shout out to Theo for that again. And remember, just to give you guys an idea of how large 100,000 subscribers is, we're talking about the University of Michigan football stadium, which is about 106 to 109,000 seats in there. So if you want to see what 100,000 is, just Google the University of Michigan football stadium, which is the largest football stadium in the United States. And whenever somebody gets to 100,000, I always send them there to take a look at your hard work. Let's get back to the video, guys. I don't want to hold us up from seeing the rest of the interview of the young lady that was the person that Kevin was in a relationship with before he passed on. And yeah, Charles Tyler did some amazing, amazing things, just like Kevin did. Let's go back to the video.
You decided to meet Kevin. Y'all decided mutually y'all gonna meet each other. So tell us what happened. You tell us how it happened.
So we met at Buckhead Village, and then that's where he started showing me around and took me to his favorite fragrance store, which was Duptique. And
Okay, hold on. You said he took you to his favorite department store. Or you said fragrance store.
The fragrance store, yeah. He really likes the fragrances and the candles. They sell so much there. It was really cute, and he showed me around, and the whole time.
Gotta smell good, fellas.
Kevin was a gentleman the whole time. He carried my bag, just opened the doors for me, always asking if I needed anything. He was very attentive, and I really liked that about him. And so he also got a place for me to stay right across from his because he wanted me to feel comfortable when I was there.
Okay. So he got a place for you separate from his. So you was all right. So I guess everybody thought you were staying with him, but he got you a place in Buckhead Village for you to stay?
Yeah, across the street. He said that he just wanted me to feel comfortable.
Oh, that's real cool, and that's really nice. Okay, and then so y'all and you were saying something about y'all went to what did y'all get at Dupe Tech? Is that what it's called? Dupe Tech?
I think it's pronounced Duptique.
Yeah, okay. Well, that lets you know I don't know the stuff, but I know one thing. I was in New York with Kevin Samuels and spent $1,800 on some damn cologne, some Creed, and
shout out to Creed.
I ain't even want it, you know what I mean? But he said you did good, Dennis. You won. You did good today. I'm like, I don't feel like I did good today, Kevin. I don't spend $1,800 on cologne. I can go to Walmart and get this for much less money. Okay, but he was pretty confident that I'd done good. So
before he goes any further, you guys were asking me about the cologne of the night, the guys that weren't here earlier. Here's the cologne of the evening. It is Scandal by Jean-Paul Gaultier. Scandal. Very good scent, very masculine scent. This is a good sex scent.
What did he get you to buy in Duke Tech? Did he get you to buy something in there?
Well, he was just showing me around, kind of like showing me like the fragrances he likes and, kind of asking me what I like. So we just, looked around and after that, he told me he had all these things planned for the week and he was excited to show me, what Atlanta had to offer because that was my first time in Atlanta and he wanted to convince me to get my next travel assignment there.
So hold on,
I was excited.
Somebody said this in the comments. They sound like the Godfather was like a romantic type dude.
Yeah.
I think I really feel he was very romantic and he was very respectful and I feel like people don't see that but that's what the version I saw, the Kevin I saw.
So he opening doors for you and take you to the fragrance shops and he bought you a place.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
And then, during one of our conversations, he asked me how long it would take me to know if I wanted to marry someone. And I said about 6 months. And then that's when he mentioned that, that he always wanted to, remarry and have a son, like I told you. But that he was looking for somebody, like me from the way it was.
That's cool. So he can so for you guys, I mean that's something for us to know because like you see like as a guy, I see how Kevin operates with other guys. I'm hanging out with him in New York, I'm hanging out with him in Miami, and there were other ladies around, but he wasn't I didn't see him, I mean he was always a gentleman, but we never knew that side of him. You know what I mean? So that's a good lesson, fellas. So Godfather was a gentleman. He's opening doors, and I'm sure he probably carrying bags and got you a whole place away from his place, just so you can have your own space. That's dope. I like that. That's classy. And that's what I like. Yeah, I like that.
And then when I try to carry my things, he would be like, no. He's like, give me that. He's like, you're not going to carry anything. So. I thought that was, really thoughtful and sweet. And like I said, this is the Kevin I knew, regardless of how people want to paint a picture of him. This is the truth.
So what else? So what else, y'all? So this would be y'all first day meeting, and y'all went to the fragrance store. And what else did you? Because this is technically his last day on Earth, right?
Yeah. So he just showed me around. Wow. He was excited to show me the shops around the area he lived in. We went out, to eat at the little restaurant there, and he told and he just kind of wanted to show me how nice it was, because I felt like he was trying to convince me, to move there. So, and I really told him, I really was surprised that Atlanta was so green, and it was just so beautiful. And I never had been, I've never been to Atlanta. So I kind of was letting him know, I do think Atlanta is really nice, and I might consider it, I mean, he had told me like everything that he wanted to do that week. I was supposed to be there for a whole week, and he had all these things planned to like go show me, what Atlanta had to offer. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. But that's what he wanted.
So he had you saying he had a whole week planned for you guys?
Yeah, he wanted me to stay a whole week.
So y'all had dinner, whatever. What else did y'all do? I see. Here's peculiar thing about Kevin. Whenever I went out with him, I never saw him drink anything, and I remember having to, because I can throw him back, you know what I mean? I don't mind getting faded, you know what I mean? That's what I like to do. I like to drink wine and eat and enjoy life. But Kevin never really drank. Did he ever tell you about? I had my belief. I thought it was because he had to kind of deal with cancer as a young man, and that kind of freaked him out, Did y'all talk about that at all?
Yeah, we did. We talked about, his history and how he had the, Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I let him know that my best friend actually had went through that, and I, helped her through that, and, made a page for her to support her and everything. And they had, they went through the same thing, and we kind of connected on that. And I think ever since, because he had that cancer before, he was aware of, not drinking alcohol or doing these things that would be bad for his health. And no, he never drank alcohol in front of me. He never told me about, he told me he didn't really drink. I don't really drink, but I do like, to have wine occasionally. Yeah. But no, he never was the type of person to want to drink alcohol. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, he didn't smoke cigarettes. He didn't smoke cigars. He didn't drink. The man was like a teetotaler. And I guess that's why, like, I have a lot of black men have a lot of cardiovascular issues that go unchecked. It wasn't until my fiance made me take my butt to the doctor's office that I realized I had high blood pressure, and it was basically like a silent killer is what they call it, and Kevin and I are only about 4 or 5 years separated in age. And it's just a trip. I didn't recognize it. The headaches and the waking up in the morning with headaches.
Are you talking about like sleep apnea?
Sleep apnea. That's it.
And
that, and along with the heart conditions and the high blood pressure, is something that Black American men have to deal with. And I could only imagine having fought cancer at 20 something, how really particularly he could have been about his health. So, but anyway, I kind of went off on a tangent for a minute. What else?
No, you're fine. He did talk about that though, how difficult it was for him to have the motivation to get up every morning because he felt so sick and he, lost so much weight and he just felt terrible, but he had to find some motivation to get up every day. And he told me that, by wearing suits and feeling, looking good made him get some motivation to wake up every day.
Let's pause. Many of us didn't know the level of stress. We talk about it, but many of us didn't know the level of stress that Kevin was going through. And to where he said that he needed to use, wear suits as a level of motivation to get up in the morning. I kind of recognize that as far as, understanding what it's like. Some of us, we use sports. Some of us as our motivation. Some of us use other endeavors or tools to motivate us throughout the day. And, you know, he said that he noticed how much weight he was losing. So was he dealing with something pre-existing that many of us didn't know about, or still to this day don't know about? Because that statement wasn't, you know, wasn't half-hearted. And that conversation wasn't half-hearted. And with her being in the medical field and having a friend that had gone through what he went through, that's another testament of, you know, what we didn't know about Kevin behind the scenes. That's why you guys often hear me say cameras off, because there's a whole life when cameras are off. For example, I didn't know I had high blood pressure until Andrea was like, come on, let's go. We about to get you checked out. And it was the funny thing. I have no issues. I have no physical issues. But you would think, listening to Andrea, because Andrea is like this. She loves her husband so much that she wants me to be around as long as possible.
Kevin Samuels was tired.
We didn't get tired. We get tired. God, we get tired. And don't nobody give a damn. The folks you think could give a damn don't give a damn. Sometimes your kids don't even give a damn. And in the face of such hurt, heartbreak, rejection, confusion, a lot of men are just out here lost.
And I've been at that point before. I know just how he is. It's a burden that Black men, especially Black American men, carry that nobody understands, other than Black men who carry that same burden. And I know what it's like. You know, it's like no matter how high you rise, you still are looked at like you're a no good N-word.
Let us pause for the calls. Shout out to Dennis being here. My man Dennis Sperling is in the building right now. Happy born day to Kevin. Dennis, I don't know if you were here. We were just all talking about men's health and focusing on our health and the stress of when you find your niche in life. So we got to be wise with how we take care of our bodies, guys. And make sure, once again, guys, make sure you subscribe to Dennis's channel. Support Black male media. That's what we do here. Support Black male media. Shout out to Dennis once again, guys. Let's continue on with the video.
Yeah, and that's the reason he told me that he became an image consultant, because that was so important for him to get through, you know, his cancer. And I told him, you know, that I was proud of him for pushing through, because a lot of people just want to give up. And I just told him, you know, let him know that I was proud of him for doing that.
So there was this big deal about this image of you in his live stream. Go ahead and tell us about what happened.
So I was doing my work, you know, on the corner of the room, and then I got up to get some water, but since I had gotten there late, he hadn't explained his setup to me. So I accidentally walked in front of one of his cameras, and that's when he, you know, suddenly stopped me, and I realized the setup. And so I honestly thought he was recording from the camera on his computer, and there was another camera by his desk. But, you know, it wasn't like a huge deal like everybody was making it seem, because even after he finished his video, he told me he wasn't upset, that he was just trying to protect me, and because he knew how nasty people could be and didn't want that for me. And that's one of the reasons why he kept his family so private.
Yeah.
And he actually thought it was, he thought it was actually funny, because he's like, you know, these people that don't like me are always calling me gay and always insulting me, and now they're going to be wondering why there's a woman in the video. So there was some space, and, you know, behind the camera, but there was like I forgot if there was like a table or something there, so that's why I went that way. But, you know, I didn't realize it until I was, you know, in half the frame. And
so what did he say when what did he say when you popped in his little camera?
He's like, no, he's like, please stop. Like I think he was, like I said, he was just scared that he just didn't want me on video, because he told me, he's like, you just don't understand how these people are. Like, they will tear you apart, you know, for no reason. And like, I didn't really understand what he meant, you know, until this happened.
Yeah. They're pretty vicious, you know, and it takes somebody with a certain mentality. He's done the same thing for his mom. You know, his mom didn't even know he was famous. Did you know that?
Honestly, I didn't. I I felt like he had mentioned it one time. Like he's like, well, my mom's kind of like, you know, a small town, you know, lady. She just kind of keeps to herself and oblivious, obviously, to the facts of like who he was. But I feel like that's us Midwestern people kind of keeping to ourselves.
But anyway, so what happened after that? You accidentally passed through the camera, and what did he say then?
Yeah, so, you know, like I told you, he told me that he just wanted to protect me, that he didn't want, you know, what people could, he said people could attack him all day and he could take that, but he didn't want that from me. Yeah. Because he probably knew how stressful and everything, you know, all that was. But after his show, when he was done recording, we started watching one of his favorite shows, which is called The Island.
Now we're getting down to the last few hours, Ortencia. Tell us what happened then.
And he liked nature shows, which is weird because he didn't, you know, like anything outdoors. I told him I thought that was weird because I'm a very outdoors person, because he didn't like the heat. So
tell us, y'all watching The Island, okay? And that is that the show where the women and the men are separated and they have to compete or something like that? I don't know.
Yes, I think he put like one of those episodes where it was like men versus women on an island and like see who can survive better, you know. And that's his. I was just commenting on it, and I just, you know, let him do his thing and watch the show.
Y'all watch the show, then what?
Yeah, so we were watching the show, and then after that, you know, that's when we fell asleep, and then that's when everything, you know, just spiraled. So that early morning is when Kevin, you know, went into what I believe was cardiac arrest.
We're now at his last few moments here. It's the following morning, is it?
Yeah, so the next morning, you know, I heard him grunting and what seemed to look like that he was having some chest pain, and he fell over on my shoulder. And that's when I shook him and I asked him if he was okay, and he didn't respond. So, you know, I started panicking and was confused about what was happening because everything happened so suddenly and it was so early in the morning. You know, but then, you know, the nurse in me kicked in, and that's when I checked to see if he was breathing, and then I checked his carotid for a pulse, and, you know, and that's when I knew that moment that I needed to do CPR. So I started looking around, you know, for a cell phone while I laid him on the floor. And Kevin's a heavy guy. He's tall, and I don't, you know, people don't understand that. He was over six feet. I'm only, you know, 5'4". And
I thought she was short.
It was difficult, you know, for me to move him. And I went and grabbed my phone, and I called 911, and I put them on speaker, and then I started doing CPR. I had to drag him to the floor for like a hard surface to do CPR. And he's, you know, he's a pretty heavy guy, but I feel like at the moment you're not thinking about anything besides, you know, trying to get the CPR going. And
I'm 6'5". Kevin's about 6'5" too, so he was probably about 200 something pounds, 225, 230. So yeah, I could imagine that being hard. So what happened after you got him on the ground and you start, and I'm assuming you need a solid ground, like something, because you're doing CPR, you basically pushing somebody's chest to get their heart going, right?
Yeah, so you need, you know, to get them on a flat surface to get that circulation going. And I called 911, I put them on speaker, and I started CPR. And, you know, while on the phone, I just remember, you know, I was just so scared, and just, you know, I can't believe this is happening right now to me. So I felt like I started saying things that didn't make any sense, but because I was flustered. But, you know, my muscle memory took over, and I was still doing, you know, CPR correctly. And, you know, after telling them the address, I just wanted to concentrate on giving him CPR. I wasn't concentrating on, you know, trying to answer all these questions and like using, you know, my energy. And I felt like I needed to concentrate, and I just felt really frustrated.
Have you administered CPR before? Or, I mean, in a situation in a
course.
hospital, I'm assuming.
Now we're going to pause for a split second just to get some clarity. Remember, this is a celebration of Kevin Samuel's birthday, but and Dennis showed this clip again today, but it was recorded like a few months after the event? Just want to give you guys a little bit of clarity in regards to that. Let's continue on.
Yeah, it happens all the time. It's just the thing that people don't realize is it's so much different. Like, you don't have the resources you do when you're at the hospital. You don't have help. You know, you don't have the drugs. You don't have anything, and it's just so different, especially with somebody that you know and you care for, and it's just nerve-wracking.
So let me see. Okay, so you had to drag him on the floor and you start doing CPR, and that is when you, for those guys who don't know, that's when you literally are pushing somebody's chest down. And how long were you trying to administer CPR before the ambulance got there?
Well, so I started giving him CPR, and at the time I wanted to believe he was breathing, but it was actually agonal breathing, you know, which is it's gasping. It's not true breathing. And I wanted to believe he had a pulse, but he didn't. And so I knew he had an irregular rhythm, and I knew he needed, you know, an AED, which, you know, some people might ask, you know, what that is, and it's an automated external defibrillator, and that's, you know, something that you use. It delivers a shock to help return, you know, the heart to a normal rhythm, and I knew he needed that.
Is that like, because I mean, I've seen like the movies before. Is that the thing when they say they rub them together and they say clear, and then you put them on and makes them jump off the ground or something like that?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But now it's, you know, they're pads, so they go on your chest, and that's what delivers the person, you know, who's in cardiac arrest, it's shock to get that heart back to a normal rhythm.
Okay.
And I knew that without an AED, CPR was the best I could do without any resources.
And so you basically down there on the floor doing CPR. Like I remember they had us doing CPR in high school. And after about 3 or 4 minutes, I was exhausted. That's a workout. Like how long were you?
Yeah.
How long were you doing the CPR thing, and like how long were you doing that before the ambulance got there?
I remember doing CPR for, it seems like forever, but it was really for about 18 minutes. And I feel like people don't understand how difficult that is.
Did you say
and
18 minutes?
Yeah, it was 18 minutes.
So you were there 18 minutes administering CPR?
Yeah, that's how long it took for help to arrive.
Wow. And so, I mean, no, I'm telling you, after 4 minutes of doing it in high school, when they were trying to get us these, you know, they had those little plastic dummies and whatnot. I'm tired after 3 or 4 minutes. 18 minutes? My God.
It was 18 minutes. And I tried to stay, you know, the full 18 minutes, but it's exhausting, you know, and I had to take a break, and it was a couple seconds and back to it, because I just told myself you just have to keep going.
Whew. All right, let me all right, so wow. All right, so let me get my thoughts together. So okay, so the ambulance finally showed up. Then what happened?
So the ambulance finally showed up, and then they took over and they started doing CPR. And at the time I was worried about his rhythm on the monitor. So when they hooked him up, I can see that he didn't have a pulse, but he still had a shockable rhythm. So,
okay,
you know, that gave me,
what did you call that?
So it's like electrical activity that your heart is still, you know, it could be shocked with his AED. So I saw on the monitor that he still had a shockable rhythm, which was good. And
and I don't understand what shockable rhythm is. He still had a shockable rhythm. Is that
meaning that, like, usually when people flatline or, you know, their heart stops working, you can't shock them anymore. But when he was on the monitor, it showed that he could still be shocked back into his rhythm if he had a chance, you know. So I took that as a good sign.
So basically what you're telling us, you kept him alive till the ambulance got there.
I tried my best.
By yourself, administering CPR early in the morning for 18 minutes straight, by yourself, screaming on the screaming on the internet, screaming at these 911 people. By the way, I can't stand whoever that 911 operator was. I don't know who she was, but she needs to be relieved of her duty. But, you know, in my opinion, you know, just that alone makes you a hero. And I think I can say this on behalf of all of Kevin Samuels fans. Just the fact that he didn't expire while he with you, that you fought to keep him alive, says a lot. And so thank you for that alone. You know, he didn't die alone. That's another thing. He didn't die because he didn't die when he was with you. But either way, so what else happened? The ambulance is there, and you know. So what happened after that? Yeah.
So the ambulance is there, and you know, I'm trying to just make sure that I'm watching the monitor and just hoping, you know, that he can, you know, fight through it. And that's when, you know, the cops came and, you know, started asking me questions. And I feel like people just don't understand and don't put themselves in my shoes. Like when somebody's trying to ask you about your relationship or what's going on, like that's not your priority right now to answer these questions. Like my priority is to make sure that he's going to be okay. And, you know, for me, that wasn't, I really didn't care to answer these questions, because it's like, I need to make sure he's okay first. And then you can ask me everything you want at the hospital or whatever, you know? And so when I said like, I don't know. And I was saying, you know, that we just met, it's like, because we had just met in person, but to me, that wasn't my priority. To me, it was just making sure that, you know, he was going to be okay.
So these clowns that you told them you just met, and they took it that y'all just met like that day or something like that. Not that y'all just...
they took everything out of context. Like it's I don't know, it was just crazy. Like I said, like when somebody is...
People take stuff and they run with it. You meant I just came here. I just got here. We just met in person today, but we've been talking on the phone for a minute. We've been FaceTime.
Yeah, but
right.
Exactly, but you don't want to say all that, because it's like when somebody's being worked on and they're asking you these questions, like you don't care right now to answer these questions. That's not important to you. Like what's important to me is to make sure that he's going to make it.
Right.
Like I said, like these questions can be answered later.
So you ended up in the ambulance with them on the way. Tell us about the ride to the hospital.
Okay, so they put Kevin in the ambulance, and you know, I grabbed some of my things and I went with him, and I was sitting, you know, in the front. And so I just remembered I was so frustrated, because I know they have to drive at a certain speed, you know, so they can still be working in the back on him. But I was telling the ambulance driver, I was like, can you please drive faster? Like this is an emergency. And I feel bad now, but I just felt like at the time I was just frustrated. And I was like, come on, let's get there quicker. And he told me, you know, he was like, I'm sorry, I just have to drive slow enough for them to do their job. And I was like, you know, I didn't say anything else, but I kind of was just like trying to rush him.
Okay. So you in the front seat yelling at the ambulance drivers to drive fast.
Yeah, and I feel bad now, but it's just like at the time I was just frustrated.
Back in the day, we would say you sound like a rider. You're a rider. I appreciate that. Use a rider. You know what I'm saying? That's what's up. And y'all finally got to the hospital, and what happened when you got to the hospital?
So we got to the hospital, and they, you know, he was in the ER, and they started working on him. Mm-hmm. And I was waiting there in the waiting room, and I wanted to go, you know, and watch them, but they wouldn't let me. They're like, no, you have to sit in, you know, where the waiting area. And I asked why. I was like, why can't I watch? And they didn't allow me to. But you know, a couple of minutes later, the doctor came, and they told me that they needed to slow down on the CPR. And you know, and I told them, I said no. I was like, his family isn't here. I was like, I haven't contacted his mom. I was like, you can't. I was like, keep trying. So he went back, and they worked on him some more.
Yeah. So how much CPR? It sounds to me like you did 18 minutes. And how much CPR did the ambulance do?
Honestly, I'm not sure, but they stayed there for a while, so it had to be at least around 30 minutes.
So you got, I do know this about CPR from practicing law. At a certain point, you endanger the person's rib cage.
Yeah, and also, that person can have brain damage after a certain time, so it's not good to revive them because they'll have permanent brain damage. So that's,
wow.
At what point did the doctor just, I guess you were at the hospital, you're in the emergency room, and they come out and tell you, like, that's it? At what point, how long did they ever do that or whatever?
They did. Like I said, like after some time, they came and told me that they would need to slow down, and I said no. So they went back. He went back, and then later, which seemed like forever for me, he came back and he told me, there's nothing.
So you
there's
telling
nothing
me
we can
the
do anymore.
doctor wanted to quit, and you told the doctor to go back in and keep working on it.
Yeah, he told me, I feel like we should slow down after so much time that he's been getting CPR for this amount of time, and and I said no, I said just keep trying, and so he went back, and then later on he just came back and told me that he couldn't do anything about it.
The details of his last 24 hours for the first time, all of this is, I hate to put it on the States, but goodness gracious, come on. We don't know if the doctor went back there in that back room and did absolutely nothing and walked back out and said, well, we tried all we could. We tried all we could. And I'm not hating on the doctors and the medical system in the States. There are some excellent doctors and surgeons and individuals in the medical field in the States. Don't get me wrong. But it's just sad to see the doctor just walk out and say, well, you tried. Why should we? That's what makes it so sad.
So at some point, the doctor called it,
Mm-hmm.
and that was it, I guess. Everything else is. I found out I was sitting at my kitchen table about 2 or 3 o'clock in that afternoon, and apparently there was some blogger out of somewhere who told somebody about the 911 tape, and then it got back to me, and I started calling Kevin and calling his cell phone, and wasn't no answer. I just didn't believe it at first, but I had been kind of like numb, because I just lost my father in November, and I lost my my role model, my guy that taught me how to practice law, a little short Jewish dude named Mike Began. I lost him in February. I'm still dealing with that, and then this happens, and it's kind of rough, Ortencia. And then that's when all the rumors started. That's when the rumors started, and the family, I hadn't planned on saying nothing about it. Then the family contacted me and asked me to be the spokesperson, and then I had to deal with all this foolishness, and
and honestly, that's one thing I want to point out is that I wanted to contact his family and I wanted to contact, his friends, but the thing was that I regret that I didn't grab his phone and his wallet when I left. And I was begging them, the police at the hospital, I was like, just let me go back and grab his things because they wanted to identify him. And I told him, I was like, I forgot to grab his things. I was like, can you just go back with me so I can grab his things and I can call, whoever's on his emergency contact on his phone, and they wouldn't let me go back. So that's one thing that that hurts, that his mom had to find out online instead of me calling his family or his friends.
Yeah, his mom had to find out about it because one of these loudmouth, no good sons of bitches on the internet decided that they was going to make an announcement before his mom even knew. You understand? And so on behalf of his family and all of his Fuck you motherfuckers. Excuse my French. But fuck all you insensitive sons of bitches for that. That was the most fucked up thing I've seen. And I know, you know, maybe I'm lashing out a little bit right now. That was fucked up, man. Y'all robbed that man of his humanity. Kevin's dead. Kevin's gone. But for his mom, Miss Beverly, to have to find out that he died from one of you clout chasing raggedy motherfuckers on the internet, that's fucked up. Real talk. And so fuck all you haters. And that's why I don't have no problem striking your channels and suing your mother, your asses. And that's on everything. Real talk. But anyway, Ortencia, I appreciate you. I know there's a lot of rumors and stuff, and I know they've been dragging your name through the mud. You're a hero to me, as far as I'm concerned. You know, and I think anybody in here who listened to this story and really wanted to know what really happened, you know, they can appreciate what you said. But go ahead and you know, if you want to talk about something, clearly they said you didn't do CPR. Clearly you did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I feel like they, you know, edited a version of this 911 call to make it seem like I never did CPR, or, you know, I didn't know the address or anything, but I gave him the address and I gave him the apartment number. And I tried to do CPR, you know, the whole time, but it's exhausting. Like, you know, it's hard.
Right. And then the other thing was about, they wanted this don't even make sense to me, and I don't even do medical. You want this woman to run, like they wanted you to run downstairs, try to find a shock machine in the morning at where were y'all at the apartment complex, right? Like they just gonna have, what did y'all call that again? Or AED? What is that called? An AED?
It'd be later.
AED.
Do you think your apartment manager has one of those shock machines in their office somewhere? I mean, just think. So you wanted her to leave Kevin and stop giving him CPR on the hopes of running outside and finding an AED machine. Like, are you serious? He wouldn't have been alive when the ambulance got there. You understand? Like, am I right, Ortencia?
Yeah, I felt like that's just something that, you know, isn't realistic. Like, I don't know the apartment complex. You know, the front office is closed from what I know now, you know, and I feel like the best chances of him surviving was for me to stay there with him, because, you know, after 3 to 4 minutes of no circulation, you know, somebody starts getting brain damage. So for me, that wasn't a smart decision to make and go run around looking for something when I can stay there and wait for help to arrive and, you know, continue the CPR.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that don't even make sense to somebody like me. Why would you leave? That's like, that's stupid. And whoever thought that up is stupid. And the bullshit about drugs and this is a one night stand, y'all full of shit. The man barely drank. The only time I ever saw Kevin drink was when I bought a bottle of Ace of Spade in Miami for his birthday. And I was like, man, drink a little bit. He's like, nah, I don't drink. I'm like, come on, man, it's Ace of Spade. It's your birthday. Drink a little bit. He drank a little bit. I drank the rest out the motherfucking bottle. Okay? I got pictures. But the bottom line is the man didn't do drugs. You don't do drugs, do you? Do you do drugs? Any of that shit? you smoking that medicinal or anything?
No, we don't. No, we never did drugs. I don't do drugs.
She don't
so
do drugs.
For people to say that,
do drugs.
Crazy.
You nasty, rotten ass motherfuckers are the ones out there smoking and popping pills and shit. Everybody does not have your value system.